On this edition of Early Look, I'm going to be previewing the bantamweight title fight headlining UFC 323 December 6th in Las Vegas. My name is James Lynch. If you never watched the show before, I'm going to go through a bunch of different things. Then I'm going to give you my prediction at the end of this video. Once you're done watching this video, go to the comments section. Let me know your prediction for this fight. Would love to hear from you. And like we always do on this show, let's do a quick tail of the tape between these two. Of course, they fought before back in 2023. Should mention that. I'll reference that fight a little bit later. But you can see there, Merab Dvalishvili, 34 years old, 32 for Petr Yan, 5'6" to 5'7", 68 to 67. So pretty even. Even the age, not a huge gap there between them. But yeah. Really, really good to see this rematch. Petr Yan absolutely deserves this opportunity. It's good to see him get another opportunity at getting his belt back. Let's start first, though, with the current champ, Merab Dvalishvili, and go through all of his stats and everything else. So if we look at Merab, I mentioned it there, 21-4 record. He's got 3 knockouts, 2 submissions, and 16 decisions in his career. He's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage in this fight. He trains at a Syndicate MMA. He is he's had 3 successful title defenses as bantamweight champion. He's tied with Aljamain Sterling for the most consecutive title defenses in UFC bantamweight division history at 3. He's the first Georgian-born champion in UFC history. He's got most takedowns landed in a UFC fight at 20 against Corey Sandhagen in his last fight. He's got performance of the night 2 times against Marlon Moraes and Sean O'Malley. He's also got fight of the night 2 times against Ricky Simon and Umar Nurmagomedov. Merab made his amateur debut way back in July of 2012, made his pro debut in January of 2014, a fight he ended up losing. He's got a 14-2 UFC record. He's got 2 stoppage victories. Some notable wins in his career include Marlon Moraes, Jose Aldo, Petr Yan, Henry Cejudo, 2 wins over Sean O'Malley. Sorry, 1 win over Sean O'Malley, I should say. No, 2. What am I talking about? And then he's also got, I was thinking of Petr Yan for some reason. That's where my mind went. He's got 2 wins over Sean O'Malley. He's also beat Umar Nurmagomedov and most recently Corey Sandhagen. His only notable loss he has was the loss to Ricky Simon. The Frankie Saenz fight, a lot of people felt like he won that if you look at the scorecards and go back and watch that fight. So Simon really the only big one there. He's had a couple layoffs in his career, going from Marlon Moraes to Jose Aldo. There was a 329-day layoff going from Yan to Cejudo. There was a 343-day layoff. Since then, though, he's been very active. In fact, this is going to be the 4th fight he's had this year. If you look at it there, fought Umar in January, fought O'Malley in June, fought Sandhagen in October, and here he is fighting Yan in December. That is the most he's fought in a calendar year for the UFC. And if he gets this win, he's definitely got to be up for Fighter of the Year. I mean, that's a very active schedule against some really good opposition in front of that. Merab hasn't had any serious injuries throughout his career. He's had a bunch of close fights. That Frankie Saenz fight I mentioned. If you look on MMADecisions.com, that's the website where the media submit their scorecards for every fight. That was back in December of 2017, UFC Fight Night 123. 4 media members scored the fight for Saenz. 10 scored it for Merab. So again, people felt like that should have gone the other way. There's the Merab fight against O'Malley. For some reason, people thought that fight was close, that first fight. If you go look at that, 22 media members scored the fight for Merab. 0 media members scored the fight for O'Malley. I personally had Merab winning that fight 4-1. And then there's the Umar Nurmagomedov fight, which people felt was close as well. Again, 21 media members scored the fight for Merab. 0 media members scored the fight for Umar. So those are the only close fights he's had. Sandhagen went the distance, but most people felt like that was a clear win for Merab. Let's look at Merab's stats here. Very impressive. 4.33 significant strikes landed per minute. Striking accuracy is at 42%, so he does miss a bit. Striking defense is at 56%, doesn't get hit that much. Takedown average, 6.40. It's pretty incredible. You don't see stats like that too often when I do these previews. His takedown accuracy is at 37%. His takedown defense is at 82%, and his sub-average is 0.3. That's everything you need to know about the current bantamweight champion, Merab Dvalishvili. Let's go take a closer look at No Mercy, Petr Yan, his opponent. See it there, 19-5 record. He's got 7 knockouts, 1 submission, and 11 decisions. Currently ranked number 3 in the bantamweight division. He is 27 years old, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. So, sorry, he's 32 years old. I have the wrong info there. 32 years old, 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. So he's 2 years younger than Merab. That was what I was trying to get at. He was the former UFC bantamweight champion. He was like that one time. He's got fight of the night 3 times. He's got performance of the night 1 time against Uriah Faber, had his amateur debut way back in September of 2014, made his pro debut in December later that year, made his UFC debut a few fights after that, UFC Fight Night 132 back in June of 2018. So yeah, been in the UFC for a while. He is 11-4 in the UFC. Some notable wins include Jimmy Rivera, who's ranked at the time, Uriah Faber, who's been ranked at the time, the former champ, Jose Aldo. Corey Sandhagen was a very notable win. Song Yadong, Davidson Figueroa was ranked, and Marcus McGee was also ranked at the time when he beat him. So those are some notable wins for him. The most notable losses are the Aljamain Sterling fight. We know all the controversy there with the illegal knee. Lost a split decision to Sterling there as well. We'll talk about that fight in a second. The Sean O'Malley fight, which we'll definitely talk about too. And then obviously lost to Merab back in March of 2023. Let's talk about some of those fights. So the split decision to Sterling, very close fight. Petr Yan, that is, in the rematch of the, of course, illegal knee fight prior to that. If you look at the media scorecards for that one, that was UFC 273 back in April of 2022. 11 media members scored the fight for Aljo. 5 scored it a draw, and only 2 scored it for Yan. So majority did feel like Aljo won that fight. I watched that fight. I thought Sterling won, but very close fight. Here's the one, though, that a lot of people have issue with and just some reason just glance over every now and then. The O'Malley win, okay? Yan was a minus 285 favorite. O'Malley was plus 230. 24 media members scored the fight for Petr Yan. If you look on MMA decisions here, just one media member, Matt Wells. I love you, Matt. Good buddy of mine. I don't know how you scored that one for O'Malley, but that was all Yan from everyone else there. Yeah, most people felt like he won, as you can see on the scorecards here, 29-28. So yeah, wanted to mention that. As far as Yan's stats go, very impressive. The strikes landed per minute is higher, 5.12. Striking accuracy is at 54%, so that's higher than Merab as well. Striking defense is at 58%, doesn't get hit that much. 1.58 takedown, way lower than Merab. 48% takedown accuracy, and takedown defense is at 85%. We'll see. That'll definitely be put to the test against Merab in this fight. We'll see how many takedowns he gets. Actually, if you go look at that first fight they had, the Yan and Dvalishvili fight, let's go check that out. Look at the difference in strikes. 202 total strikes compared to 87 for Yan. So yeah, that was a big difference. And the big one, obviously, 11 of 49 takedowns. Just crazy that Merab attempted 49 takedowns in that fight. So that was pretty impressive. So yeah, if you're wondering how that went, obviously a couple years back, fighters are a lot different. That's something to keep in mind. I actually went back and watched that fight again. I don't think Yan won a single round of that fight, if I'm being honest. I thought that was all Merab. And if you remember at the time, I actually made some money on that fight. That was a fight that Merab, I believe, was an underdog in. Yeah, plus 210. One of my best plays. I thought, hey, I don't think Yan's going to be able to deal with this. So ends up getting it done. Let's go to the odds. Very good for Merab Dvalishvili. Minus 500 on FanDuel. Other books having him about minus 400. Is that the biggest betting favorite he's been since he's been champ? Yeah, a little bit higher than Sandhagen. So that's interesting, right? So obviously Yan beat Sandhagen. So there we go. So yeah, you've got Yan about that. And then if you go look on Tapology, where people can just pick their fights. Look at this. Oops, that was the first fight. This is the second one. 90% of people picking Merab, only 10% picking Yan, and the majority, 93.2%, taking him by decision. Let's go use AI, Fight Signal, one of my favorite apps there. A little bit closer. They have Merab at 60% winning this fight compared to 39%, 0.47% for Petr Yan. And then over on Agent MMA, a little bit higher. They have Merab at 73%. By the way, guys, if you want to use these AI tools, just let me know. I have accounts for both. I can give you a discount code, especially for Fight Signal. But yes, so there you go. You can see AI is favoring Merab as well in this too. Again, not the be-all end-all, just something extra I like to add to these breakdowns. Now, as far as my pick, I don't think there's going to be anything groundbreaking to the rest of you out there. I'm going Merab decision. How can you go against Merab right now, guys? Honestly, he's been unstoppable. So a bunch of reasons why I like Merab, specifically by decision. So first and foremost, 76% of Merab's wins are by decision. That's 16 total in his career. He's not much of a finisher. And that's not necessarily his fault. He's fighting guys that are pretty durable, that are not easily finished. You know, look at his, if we just go through the resume here real quick. I mean, how many of these guys are getting finished regularly, right? Corey Sandhagen, the only guy to finish him, I think, was Sterling a couple years back. O'Malley. He finished O'Malley, actually. That was very impressive. But still, Umar, tough guy to finish. Sean O'Malley didn't finish him the first fight. Cejudo, Yan, Aldo, right? These guys are tougher to take out. So, again, I'm leaning more decision on this one. The other thing is, Petr Yan, 28 career fights, never been finished. Anything can happen in a fight, not looking past that, thing. But I like the chances of this fight going the distance more than that. So, the thing with Yan is, I mentioned off the top, he deserves this rematch. 3 straight wins, all ranked opponents. Not really blowing me away with these performances, if I'm being honest here. And if we want to dissect these wins a little bit, let's do that, because we're trying to find out how much better Yan's been since the first fight. So normally I wouldn't nitpick like this, but I think we have to in this situation. So yeah, so like I said, it hasn't really wowed anyone. The Song Yadong win, probably his best win out of this win streak. I think Song Yadong is right up there. Again, Song's not like an older fighter or someone who's like past their prime or anything. He was 26. He beat him there. Very good win there over Song Yadong in that fight. Nice bounce back from the first Merab fight. That was back in March of 2024. Deiveson Figueiredo, I still have some doubts if he's a contender in the weight class or not. Obviously, he was a flyweight champion. You know, he's 36 when he's fighting Yan there. You know, I think the verdict's out that Davison's probably not going to fight for a title at bantamweight. I don't think, anyways. I think that ship sailed. And then let's be honest, Marcus McGee. I love Marcus. Great story. Older fighter. Came into the UFC a little bit older. Good run that he's had. That fight shouldn't have been made, really, right? I mean, when that fight got made, that's kind of, it reminds me of what they're doing now with Peyton Talbot and Henry Cejudo. It's like, how does that make sense? That was kind of just a stay busy fight for Yan. He was supposed to win, and if you don't believe me, it was a stay busy fight. Nothing against Marcus McGee, but look at the odds for this fight. Petr Yan was minus 360. A lot of people were not picking Marcus McGee in that fight. So kind of what I'm getting at here, the win streak, yes, they're all ranked guys, but you know, just not overly impressive. And like, if he had gone out there and finished any of these guys, maybe I'd feel a little bit differently. Maybe there's like a knockout threat or submission threat there. I'm just not seeing it with Yan. Like, I feel like Merab and Yan are kind of similar, but I feel like Merab does a lot of the things that Yan does a lot better. And I think you can make the argument that Merab's getting better. I know he didn't finish Corey Sandhagen in his last fight, but Sandhagen could be a tricky fight, right? He's got good fight IQ, you know, long, lanky guy. I don't think that's, you know, and he actually almost finished Sandhagen in that second round, but credit to Sandhagen for surviving. I just think it's a case of like, Merab's here as far as the development and how good he is. And I think Yan's like just behind him a bit. And I think Yan, you know, I think it'll make it more competitive than the last fight, but I don't see him winning. So yeah, Merab Dvalishvili decision. Again, I know nothing groundbreaking here, guys. I'm not expecting people to be like, wow, this is like an amazing, you know, analysis here, but I just don't see another way this fight goes. And I'm not saying Yan can't win. Anything can happen in a fight, but there's nothing about Yan's win streak, his improvement since the first fight, that makes me think he's going to be able to go in there and get it done against Merab this time around. So that's why I'm going Merab Dvalishvili. So let me know in the comments. Let's do this. Let me know if you're picking Yan. If you are, I'd love to hear from you. Let's get your prediction. How do you think he does it? I think most people are picking Merab. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.